Episode 22, Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I'm Shane.
Scott, let's go.
Let's go. We're talking about Calvin Ridley today. Obviously a unique situation here. It's very fluid. There's some sensitivity with the mental health aspect of it. Shane, let's just start with you. How are you approaching Ridley in terms of, I know there's not a timetable for a return because we're not talking about an ACL or anything here, but how are you treating him? Are you treating him as if he's coming back next season, or is he out indefinitely? How are you approaching it?
I haven't thought in terms that he'll be out the rest of this year. I think of it in terms of he'll get on the right medication, the right mix of it, get some counseling, and be able to play again at some point this year. But I was already down on him because he didn't turn out to be what we thought he was going to be when he was given the opportunity to be that anyway. I expected him to contend for the wide receiver 1 role this year overall. Hasn't come close to that. So he was going to be a sell for me anyway, if he had a couple bounce back games. And if I can get decent value for him, then I'm going to trade him, because he's not good enough for me to go, all right, well, I need to keep him on my roster and I'll just wait this out. Especially in contending teams, I'll move him for something that I can use right now. Now, if I'm on a bad team, or if I am a bad team, I have a bad roster, sure, I'll just hold on to them because no one's going to buy him from me.
Cautionary tale, don't just move guys up due to attrition. We talk about this all the time, but just because everyone else leaves doesn't mean this player is just going to get all the targets or all the volume and he's going to rise above probably a level of what his capabilities are. Wide receiver 6, I mean, he was all the way up to wide receiver 5 or 6 in the offseason, and that's just probably, frankly, just too high based on the fact that he was an older prospect. He really didn't break out until his 3rd year in the NFL. I mean, if you look at last year, he scored 18 PPR points a game, which most years that's going to finish in the top 10, which is good. But you're talking about a guy that's probably close to his peak unless he ends up getting, I think we ranked him so high in Dynasty because it's like, well, he is going to have no choice but to get 170 targets this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then within like a week or two, you go, that's probably not what's going to happen. And then it's been downhill ever since. And this stuff, I think, like Shane said, we have no way to predict he's going to come back next year. He could come back next week. He could come back tomorrow. I don't think he was ever special enough to be considered to be like a top 12 receiver anyway. Compare him to like Terry McLaurin. We talked about Terry McLaurin in the past. Like, what would you prefer about Calvin Ridley over Terry McLaurin? There's really nothing. They're the same guy, you know what I mean? But I'd rather have McLaurin because he's a year younger, and he's probably shown that he can be more of an alpha target hog than Calvin Ridley can. So yeah, I'm with Shane. I'd take any top 24 receiver pretty much at this point. Easy. I don't even care who the name is. You go down the line, and I'm pretty much willing to swap them out at this point, even down into the range where it's like, you're going to give me Mike Evans. You're going to give me DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I'm okay taking that. I'm losing a few years, but man, I'm getting top 24 production.
What about Hollywood?
Smash except Hollywood.
Yeah. Yep.
What about so obviously you'd accept Pittman.
Yes.
Let's see how much further down.
Bateman.
You would hit
pretty much any of the rookies this year, except for
Elijah Moore.
It's real iffy with Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, and Rondale, but all the others, easy smash.
Yeah, Devonta, Jalen Waddle, those guys are all producing. Obviously, Jamar Chase, no one's going to offer you that. But yeah, as long as they're producing at a adequate level, I'd move Calvin for that.
Yeah, Waddle, Smith, Bateman, any of those 3. Yep.
Yeah, but
so a couple trades I did see before we got on, and Ridley is, as you can imagine, going fairly cheaply. But here's one. It was Crowder in a 2022 second for Ridley.
No, I'm holding Ridley.
Yeah.
That's a pointless ass trade. Excuse my French, or don't excuse my French. I don't care. Crowder, no. Just no.
Here was another one. It was Ridley or Cobb and Tony.
Man, Tony's interesting.
That one's interesting. I'd hold Ridley though.
I'd hold. Yeah. I think so. Here's the thing with Ridley. I would buy if I can just start sending mid to late second or mid to late first next year. If I'm stuck in a range where I know I'm going to have to draft a receiver, I'm actually okay doing that. Like if I just tell you right now, you're going to get the wide receiver 5 in next year's class, whoever it is, it's probably going to be a mid-second round pick in the NFL draft, maybe an early second. I'd probably take Ridley. But now if you're getting into the range where you're going to get next year's wide receiver 2, that's a mid-first round pick, that's right in the Ridley range. So I think he's just one of those receivers I will buy for a first. I will buy straight up for a future first. I don't think we adjust fast enough to where people are selling at that point. Like, you go to the Ridley owner and they can't get over the fact that they had him as like a top 8 receiver. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They can't stomach selling him for anything less than like wide receiver 1 prices. So it just doesn't seem like a lot of deals get done.
What are some running back comps like you would hit accept if you were sent Leonard Fournette?
Oh,
I'd take Ridley.
yeah, I'm taking Ridley. I just traded Fournette for a second in the league, so I clearly value Ridley more than a
Darrell
second.
Henderson or Ridley.
Darrell Henderson.